You are watching Xirtus.
Dude,
You know.
I have to do so much math at my work as for frames and whatnot. But
Yeah.
the thing is that it's all like kind of what you're saying. It's like it's all the same stuff for the most part. It's like I have to do a little bit of algebra here and there, and most of it is just arithmetic, one way or the other, like, but it's a lot, and it's fractions all day. But I don't know. Like I'm really glad that I learned that. But yeah, you're right. There's so much math that I was taught that I never used except to pass that test in school. I guess you don't know where people are going to end up, but I'm grateful for the math that I retained. I needed it.
I'm hateful over the math that I was taught because the math I was taught made me hate math and not understand it. And I found out years later after I got out of high school and I just started learning math on my own and I discovered Vedic math, which isn't a real thing. I know that. I know it's like a marketing term.
It's
for
really Tamil math. Yeah, come on.
But I remember going through it. I was like, holy shit, this was how I used to understand math. And like, I would get my hand slapped metaphorically. Like, no, you have to show your work. And it was like, but it, like, in my head, I'm just like, but it works like this. Like, I know it does, but I wasn't allowed to do it that way. And anyways, I found this, like, these rules of Vedic math. And man, I still daydream about what if, as I was growing up, that was the type of math that I was taught. Magical rules where you didn't have to know all the stuff.
Maybe your math is wrong on utopian societies, my friend.
Yeah.
Because you can only count in terms of 50 years. Like, every 50 years, we got to build a new temple. This is not working.
It's funny that you'd say 50 years because 50 years was the length of time between the Jubilees. Yeah, and actually what you're saying earlier about the...
right? That's when you basically start anew, right?
You forgive all the debt and you release all the servants, and then it starts over. But the thing is that
But that goes to what Thomas's point on the Bach saga was earlier.
Right. Well, actually,
the same reason we have elections every 4 years. It's because it's a generational thing.
Like, it's a generation. That's the reason why.
And also 500 years is from the fall of the temple to like Jesus, right? Like 530 BC.
It's encoded.
You have to walk around the desert for 40 years just to reprogram from the Egyptians. You know what I'm saying? Like,
well, it's not. Yes, it's reprogramming, but it's also like basically like where is your home, and it's this whole thing that's supposed to be integrated. Like,
yeah. What if walking in the desert is like your hand being slapped and taught the wrong kind of math? Because like that's where we lose Egyptian math.
I think that's actually about non-localization. Like the whole point of the 40 years is a lesson in non-localization, and then bringing that to where they end up. And so that's the challenge, and it's like it's an extreme challenge, and no other nation in the world has been able to accomplish that either. So it's a high task, right? And it's like, and I think the idea is like, if we were to continue as a species, if we want to survive, like there's something that's required of us energetically that has to do with like every implicit assumption we have in who we are, like our identity. So it's like every idea we have around strength is going to be put to the test. So everything that's happening is kind of like this massive troubleshooting to like teach us and break us down and to basically like humiliate us to the point that we see how the specific ways in which we're unevolved, not like in a conceptual way, but like in a deep, like primordial way, so that we can actually evolve in that direction. Pretty much. But Freemasonry is supposed to have this kind of this intention to illuminate humanity. That humanity needs that, and a lot of the
it's basically like a ritual to degrade and put an indivial through.
Yeah, you saw what they made Thomas do. It was gross.
Right. But Freemasonry was infiltrated. Not to say that it was perfect to begin with, but what integrity it had and still has is constantly being infiltrated and subverted. And like any good intentioned organization, it has to deal with that. And when we talk about like a potential utopia, like either in the past or the future, like every embedded assumption we have about reality would have to be different than what it is for that to ever happen. Which it's not. Yeah.
Curtis says, Thomas, tell us all the secrets. Crypto, Bernie, aren't you a Freemason?
Yeah,
Also,
no, he was
40% of my demographic is
He
apparently.
said he
My
got
name
kicked out
is
during
literally
Fellowcraft.
Will Morgan. I've
He
got
got-
your
he got-
secrets right here.
He got kicked out when? What did you say, Tom?
I don't want to spill too much, but that's what I think. Bernie told me that he got kicked out during his like Fellowcraft degree or something. I might have that wrong, but
He was probably making the lodge smell like weed. It's like
that, I mean, quite literally, maybe. And I've got a really strained and horrible analogy, but it kind of goes with what Andreas and what you were saying, David, about like it constantly is losing quality. The way I see modern day Freemasonry, and I've got a million analogies. This isn't the best one, but it's almost like a public library that in 1950 or 1960 was truly like a pinnacle of knowledge. Like people would go from all over the state to visit this one particular, city public library. But now look at it in 2024 and you walk into the public library and like 4 out of the 6 computers are being used by transients and they're masturbating. Like that doesn't mean that the library ceases to contain knowledge, or that anyone that wants a library card or that wants to go to that library is just going there to jerk off on the computer. You know what I mean? Like,
and besides, like, what's your
that happen?
alternative to the library? Like schools? There's way more shootings in schools than libraries. I'm way more into libraries. I think we should like put guns in libraries, computers in libraries, guitars in libraries, volleyball courts in libraries. We should make the library. We should just demilitarize schools, like whatever, like the defund the police, defund schools, but put it into libraries, right?
For people to check out.
Hashtag priorities, right?
Yeah.
But when you're showing those images of those structures that can be easily taken down and rebuilt, that's an energetic thing that you're not like, you don't your need to fight for. Like you could move if you want, you're not stuck. It's like the things you own end up owning you, like the Tyler Durden shit. Like that's for real, like this is the same thing. So you have a mandala. I've made these before actually at Mount Madonna. You're taking sand and you're just doing this intricate art, meticulous art, and then it's just whoosh, it's gone. This is what the fucking internet is. Yeah. Like on a larger scale, it's a rich mandala for me.
Yeah, we should what's that called where you like white pill? I don't like black and white in terms of pill, but the idea of like realizing that a lot of people think they're doing nothing with their lives when really they're bodhisattvas sitting in Digambara making sand mandala memes all day, and that you're doing a lot of work. You don't recognize what the work is leading up towards, and you can probably like augment your work to lead towards different directions, but everything you're doing, you're not doing nothing. Your nothingness is actually a thing.
Wouldn't the wipeout of like all crypto be the ultimate mandala, kind of like this? Like if everyone's got everything
that's
invested,
it. Get your 32,000 pound Masonic. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, but that's the end of Fight Club, right? Is like that basically everyone's credit goes back to zero. And
that would have been like pro little guy, but if you wipe out all crypto, that also means that all the self-made millionaires are gone too. Like literally everyone is at a baseline. Fight Club just meant all the poor people no longer had debt to worry about. But this would truly be like the great equalizer.